empowerment is drawing in your attention and having some choice with your intention, which means also you can concentrate, that you can look at what's here, that you don't run on the first thing that shows up. So then you've got some options. The second thing that shows up, the third thing that shows up. There's some options to choose among. And then, so then empowerment is also, it's a curiosity. It's a lack of urgency or a less urgency, where you can kind of make some, should I call them frivolous decisions, you know? You can just experiment. You can try something new. You can try to open your context of action and context of being and acting to something that might be give unknown results, because you're not always having to reach an imaginary finish line by 1 o'clock. So you can afford to kind of say hello to a new person, strike up a new conversation, read a new book, right? You're empowered because somehow everything isn't on that one survival issue that you're on right now. Survival is handled, right? Not always the way you want it. Maybe you're downsized. Maybe you lost your house, but you live in an apartment now. I mean, you're still surviving, right? You could be real grumpy about that or not. Empowerment is somehow handling your emotions, you know, and having some choice there. Empowerment is being aware of your anxiety and how tight you are, right? And relating the tightness in your body to the tightness in your mind, which would be like the openness in your body to the openness in your mind, and the willingness to try something new, and to realize that what grace is, you know, I mean, you can it seems like at one point of our lives when we were so tight that grace just squeaks into a crack once a fortnight, right? And you realize when you start to open up that grace is not, there's no such thing as grace. It's just like opportunity is everywhere. You live in a sea of opportunity, right? And you've got it all blocked out successfully. It really doesn't matter if there's a self or not. Still, that locus of where your body is sitting, in that locus, the choice can be made. And it can be made as long as you allow more than one option. And allowing more than one option means don't run on the first thing that happens. Don't run your mind, which we do because we run it with pablum. Actually, we repeat pablum like there's no self to make a choice. And that's called running the mind, right? And then we go back into our kind of like trance state, right? And then another thought comes, and a denial thought comes up next to it, right? And then we go back into our trance state and say, I'm totally open. I'm open to all the grace that comes in. I had one a week and a half ago, actually. And it's just hilarious. So I'm saying that people can walk away, they feel nice, they know it's not going to last, because it's not going to last, because it's a borrowed concept. There's genres of teachers, right? Because you said they all are different and have a different expression, but they have the same genre. And genre is like the kind of a movie, you know, whether it's a terror, horror story or a detective story and stuff like that. Well, with teachers, it's all about a parrot story, you know. It's all parroted from their teacher, especially the ones that have the lineup, you know, all the pictures on their back table with a flower and a candle. It's total parrot, right? It's parrot school, right? And you're the parakeets. Look, I'm getting it to you. I'm right now on it, right? I'm really putting it out to you. You're parakeeting. You're not even parroting, right? And you go to parrot school, and of course it's not your stuff, right? And of course it's not going to last because it's not authentic, right? And this genre is called the non-authentic school of repetition. And I don't see that they're any different one from the other, right? They have a slightly different paradigm, but still they're outside in. Everything is given, My teacher gave it to me. He gave me the baton. I gave it to you, So parrot this, why don't you, for a while? So then that's no good, That's the last century. That's the last millennia. That's the last age, right? This is the age of something else. I don't know, Aquarius or who knows what's going on now, or the Kali Yuga. Let it be the Kali Yuga. Why don't you die with the Kali Yuga? And let all your teachings die with the Kali Yuga, right? And start from scratch. Dump all that crap. Definitely, definitely, definitely. You tolerate it, right? And you get it. You deserve it. You parrot it. You create it in this moment. There's nothing that comes from the past. There's nothing that comes from these teachers. You create it in this moment, And if you're not creating it, you're just adrift in it. You're just awash in collective consciousness, Especially when the do-nothing teachers, when they say you can't do nothing. Then you're just totally adrift. You're totally, and that's why they say accept. That's all you can do is you accept all the things that you adopted, but you never really consciously looked into. The mechanism. What's the point of checking out your words, your self-talk? No point. No. Just stay there and buy my stuff, right? Might as well buy another tape while you're at it. So anyhow, I couldn't tell you it's more bogus than that, I would put this whole industry down, down in a hole and bury it.
Crack me up, Richard.
I'll say one last thing, Some of you guys have had an experience, right? And you're so cocksure, I wouldn't even say cocksure. Let's just say you're certain. And you're totally sincere, right? So what am I saying to you? I'm not trying to prove you wrong. I'm not trying to say that all this stuff that I just said makes your experience an illusion. I'm just saying, keep your mouth shut. Don't lay your stuff on anyone else. And just try to find out how to support people to be in a place where they'll eventually discover that stuff too. But not from the outside in. Not from your descriptors, but from their own discoveries. So if you can empower people to discover one step at a time, then go for it. But if awakening to you means that you have the right to sit on a chair and say, I know more than you, which is it, Rena was saying, no, they're sincere and they're really trying to help. But why would anyone get up there and tell people, give them advice and tell them, go this way and go that way? Am I giving you advice? Sure I am. I'm saying drop all that stuff. But I'm not saying pick up the Richard Miller deal, do never not hear, or anything like that. I don't have any principles like that. I have the principles of the metric of energy or attention coming this way, or energy and attention going that way. And it's so easy to feel, and so easy to know. So we were talking a minute ago about vulnerability and how we feel it's painful, which I reject heartily. Right? That's another gift you've been given. It's not painful. It's actually total free. Things whiz in one side and out the other, and you're untouched. And people do make judgments about you, right? So that's just another thing to look at. Well, why are you caring what people are judging you as? Why does that somehow, what are the hooks on that? Again, it's all about looking at the mechanism. Now Rena's asked me, where's creativity? Creativity is only in choice, right? Being able to say yes. Having an open space where you can say yes. Of course, an open space, it takes an open space for choice, too. Because in that space of who I am, whoever that I is, whether it's a no thing or a thing, it doesn't matter how you look at it, because you look at it the way you look at it. And for me to break the way you look at it is not additive to you whatsoever. So then the space is where something comes in, right? And it's either a tragedy or it's a joy, right? And we want more joys to come in, right? Because somehow that engenders openness. Because lots of people say it doesn't matter what comes in. Then there's the breakdown theory of enlightenment, that the more tragedies come in, finally you freak out and pop, you know. But the world can't take that anymore. I'll tell you, planet Earth can't take all those pops. So then we got to find out the joyful way of enlightenment, which just means to be creative, to learn your own creativity, right? And so creativity is in that space, spaciousness. And in that spaciousness, if we don't have such a lot of movement and such a lot of meaning, you know, which means some wonderment, you know. If we have a lot of meaning, then we know we have to go in certain directions. And the moment that pops into your spaciousness, you go there. And then you never stay in that spaciousness long enough to really have a creative choice. In other words, what is choice? Choice is only pause. You know, there's no choice in movement.
So tell us what you mean by pause, Richard. Pause.
Well, pause is just being willing to break your train of your momentum. You know, it doesn't have to be done in a halting way or a jerky way either. It's just kind of like it's less urgency, it's less belief in your system, right? Somehow, I don't know if I'm just lucky, if it's just like being retired or something like that, it gives me space, you know. Take more time in your business, even when we're full of appointments. Take more time between appointments and contemplate, right? And visit your center. Go back to center before you do anything, before you make any new move. Always come out of center. Don't just spin from one engagement to the next, and take that time. And the time is you. The time is you. Is really who you are. Is that time of the now, whether that's a thing or a no thing or whatever you want to say. And that time belongs to you. It's your birthright. And take it. And then allow it to just mature. Allow the time, this moment right here, to mature, which means allow different kind of choices, different options to be here. And don't just run on the first one. And usually what I do, so many of the options are about tomorrow, yesterday and tomorrow. And I don't really take any of those options. I know that I have to buy a ticket, or I have to get a visa, or I have to do certain things. Now I have to get a chest x-ray to get back into Australia. I know all that stuff. And I do them on time, but I mean, I'm not thinking about what's it going to be like for my chest x-ray, or when am I going to make that appointment? You know, I always do it at the right time. I don't really think about painful things in the future. I was telling somebody the other day, when I went on my flight to South Africa, both my flights, you know, I had 4 legs that were actually kind of tiring. I never ran it outside of the moment of being in it. And then, of course, when I was in it, it wasn't all that bad, you know. And then, I don't know, I just don't. So that's some choice I have about the past and the future. Of course, I have no pull toward the past and no pull toward the future, really. And if somebody asks me, how are you going to feel when you do this, or blah, blah, or if you, I don't know. I just don't really want to give 2 seconds to that. And so creativity, I'm saying, is choice. Choice is pause. Rena asked, what's pause? Pause in my whole momentum. And what is my momentum chain? Well, so much of it is about our meanings, the meanings that we're believing in, the meanings that we're seeing in our experience today, how we're laying that meaning on there, and how we compare it to something in our memory and say, okay, that meaning is this meaning. Join them together here, and now we got a network. That goes as a pattern. See, my pattern is true. I can live by that pattern. So all those patterns, what are they? You know, you're writing a rule book about how to live, right? How to live in your mind is the rule book. And so then Uh, can we live on inspiration without the rule book? Just by like, can we trust this moment and what pops in my mind is going to be right? And I think that's what people call as awakening. It might not feel any different. It would never occur to me to say I'm awakened or not awakened. It would never occur to me to say I'm not awakened. It might occur to me to say that enlightenment is no such thing. And I wouldn't have to do it by making a logical connection, because they say, okay, in enlightenment you realize there's no me, so then there's no me to be enlightened, so therefore there's no enlightenment. I don't have to go into a logical construction to know that there's no enlightenment. And so then there's charismatic people and not so charismatic people, and there's good salesmen and good buyers, and you're the good buyer. And I'm not that good of a salesman, so then the hell with it. And so pause in action, that's the first thing. Pause in the rate of your breath, maybe. Take a deep breath, right? Pause in your thought structures, right? So thoughts just come from conundrums. When you believe in a conundrum, you're going to have a lot of thoughts about it. When you don't believe in a conundrum or take them all lightly or think that they're all a huge joke, then your thoughts just kind of waffle around and don't really get too pointed. And so then if your thoughts take a break, your emotions take a break because they're hooked up direct. So that's the pause. This is the pause that choice resides in. And why is there a choice in that pause? I already said pause in making meanings, pause in seeing meanings, pause in making a pattern, pause in verifying a pattern. So then why is choice there? Because more things show up, right? And then what shows up? It's just a limited window because I'm me, right? And I'm sitting on a foundation of all my beliefs that I don't even know what they are. And so then that allows the window to open like a little tiny bit, I got a little crack. But in there's a couple of things I can choose, right? And then I just make my best choice. And then what do? How do I make that choice? Without anxiety-based call to action. That's what I call experiment, just to see. Because why do I want to always put anxiety on everything that I do? And isn't it strange that I always get anxiety out of it? And so to break that chain too, a pause in my anxiety creation. And that's a huge one. So then, I don't know, Rena, does that answer some questions about what is a pause and why creativity is there?
Yeah. Some may say it's a lot of words.
Okay, let me go back at that one. So then, okay, there's a belief that without words is peace, and we've all verified that, right? And it doesn't last. We've all verified that too. So then, enjoy. Stay with your guru, right? Don't think about empowerment or what you say to yourself. And there's always another guru. If your guy gets old and dies, there's another one, right?
Do we need to compare even? Do we need to compare? Do we need to even...
Compare what?
Gurus. Talk about the gurus. Stay with your guru.
Yeah, we got to say stay with your guru because it's too many words and you don't want to investigate any mechanisms and you don't want to see what self-talk is. So then naturally you can get someone else to do the talking for you. You can hire somebody. And there's talkers on hire. That's what a guru is to me. We do say things about the outside. We say consciousness is expanding, right? But it's not. It's not expanding. Hell is expanding. And hell will keep expanding until you get involved. And, God works through hands and feet, ears. And I'm not anxious about that. right? So then I'm not trying to blow the whistle. I'm only trying to blow the whistle on you. And that you're following a teaching that just kind of like, well, simply said, disempowers you, without getting too fancy a metaphor about it. And someday, maybe on your deathbed, you'll have 1 minute of being empowered. Isn't that a pity? When you have all these years in front of you, when you could engage and learn so much about yourself as you see yourself in your endeavors, even if they're kind of wrong-headed, you still see yourself. You see yourself in those people that you're involved with, right? And now you're only seeing your guru, right? And you're seeing your holy self, or your, what is it? Your divine self. You're so trying to see your divine self that you don't really see your self. And you can keep, maybe there is a divine self, and maybe your guru sees something, right? But he's asking you to paste it on somehow. And is that going to be the best way to really be it? Not be it, but to know that, let it come out in all its power and glory. And I say that's not the best way, that's an old way. That's a way that's been going on for thousands of years. To be admonished by your elders, to be admonished by the scriptures, to be admonished by your masters. And that admonishment, how does that ever transmit or transform to being you're the master? And I don't see it. It's too late to go on that method anymore. That method has to be scrapped. And then it's going to take some brave people that go counterintuitive, that are going to be leaders to say scrap it. And they're not going to be they're going to be misunderstood. And so then that's what Never Not Here is dedicated to, is reinvention. And I don't even know. I won't even say words like transformation and stuff, because they're too old and they're too misunderstood. Right? It's just like letting in new options and empowerment. And then and to learn the mechanism of how this unit works, and to learn that all that stuff that I can find with the guru is already in here. And somehow, if I don't pick up on their principles, or anyone's, I can't erase them, but I can kind of take them less seriously, that I really have no judgment points. And then life without judgment is just contentment already, and quietness. And then if I can really kind of feel my energy quotients, like my attention going in or out, I can really renounce the past and the future. So I can renounce guilt and shame, and I can really renounce worry. And so then when I don't have, and fear, those are the future components. And, they might be there, but if I don't run them, I don't run with those thoughts. I don't take my time up with them. I don't invest my body into them. In other words, because my thoughts have an imprint on my body. And if I don't run with worry and fear, then there's no imprint on my body of worry and fear. If I don't run with guilt and shame, there's no imprint on my body of guilt and shame. And so then that open body is also an open mind, right? It's peace. And all the things that they're preaching, I'm not preaching them, but they're the effect of what I tell you that would be a good idea to do. So you'll have it all. So I don't know, Never Not Here needs to be reinvented.